Hey, so I thought I'd come on and do a little video about puppies and routine. So, you might know that puppies do need a lot of rest. So, it is around 18 to 20 hours is recommended of rest and sleep each day. Obviously, don't worry too much if they don't get exactly that. It's just sort of a guideline of what to aim for. So, with puppies, you do want to get into a good routine from day one. So with Buzz, when I got him, he was a slightly older puppy. He was about 16, 17 weeks. So obviously he did have some bad habits from his previous home where they didn't really have much of a routine. They just kind of let him do what he wanted, which led to undesired behaviours that they didn't want, which one of the reasons they decided to find another home for him. So what puppies need is sort of enforced rest time. So what I do with puppies, with my own and customers' dogs, what I always recommend is crate training them from day one. Because if they're in their crate and if it's a suitable size, they'll have enough room to sort of move around a little bit and lay down comfortably and have that rest that they need. But they won't be able to sort of do zoomies around it and sort of do what they want in there. So it's a good place for them to sort of have that enforced rest in a safe place. So obviously they can't then get to things that they shouldn't be getting to. So it's safe for them to sort of be in there whilst you're cooking dinner, sorting the kids out, having a shower, whatever it is you're doing. They can be in there having a little rest whilst you're getting on with some tasks that you can't necessarily keep an eye on them with. So obviously put them away for a little while, have a little chew or something in there, a little bit of a meal, and then they should then settle down a little bit. I have got a blog post on my website about crate training, so if you wanted some more information about crate training, go and check that out. And I will link it down below as well. Also, make sure you try and stick to the same sort of routine. So get up at a similar time each day, let them out for a toilet, and then come back in, have a little play with them, give them a little bit of breakfast, and then maybe do a little bit of training, and then let them have another little sleep. So you don't want to do loads of them. So literally out in the garden, or a quick 5-minute walk. Obviously, once they're old enough to go for a walk, they've had all their injections. Literally out in the garden for sort of a few minutes, 5 minutes, just to go to the toilet, have a little sniff around, then come in, and then you can have a little play with them for a few minutes, and then maybe with a little bit of their breakfast, do a little bit of training, and then you can put some more of their breakfast in something like a Kong or snuffle mat, and then sort of back into their crate, and whilst they're having that, so they can have some of their breakfast in their crate to build up that positive association with it. And then once they're finished, they can have another little rest, because obviously if you've done a little bit of play and training, that should have worn them out a little bit, and then after eating they're likely to be tired anyway, so they can have a little sort of half-hour power nap, and then sort of get them back out, another little 5-10 minutes in the garden, having a little sniff around, toilet again if they need to. Obviously around puppies, they do have a weak bladder, so they will need to go out quite regularly, so build that into your routine. So it's better to go out too much and they don't need to go than not enough when they do need to go. So even if you go out for 5 minutes, they don't go, just sort of remember, alright, they didn't go that time, I might need to sort of go out a little bit sooner rather than planned for our next time out. Because if they haven't gone, obviously it might be in 20 minutes they do need to go, rather than sort of 45 minutes, an hour, when you had planned to go back out. So sort of then come back in, have maybe another little play or a little training session, and then sort of maybe back into their crate. So I know it sounds quite a lot going into a crate, but as I say, it's a good opportunity to build up that association with the crate, and only being in there for short periods of time, but also they can have that sort of downtime and relaxing, so they're not getting worked up and overexcited, overtired all the time. So with puppies, it is really hard for them to do nothing. So by popping them into their crate after they've had that little time out in the garden, little play or training, or things like that, obviously they have had something to do, so they will be sort of ready to sort of have a little chill out. So pop them into their crate. Obviously you can give them another little bit of food in their Kong or something, just to help them be alright being put back in there. So I don't necessarily give just 3 meals to my puppies each day. I do spread it out throughout the day. So I weigh out the amount that they can have during the day. Then I know then I can use that throughout the day whilst I'm doing like training and Kongs and food toys, things like that. So I'm not then overfeeding them, but I'm also not then depriving them of food either. So give them another little bit of that food in their crate, and then maybe 45 minutes later bring them back out in the garden again, see if they want to go to the toilet, and then another little sort of training session or play. You probably notice I've said sort of another little training session quite a lot. It's better to do small regular training sessions with your puppies rather than just sitting down for 45 minutes, an hour in the evenings and doing training. So what will happen is your puppy will get frustrated, and in turn you'll get frustrated and make puppy even more frustrated, and you'll get nowhere. And puppies will get worn out very quickly, so it's better to do sort of smaller sessions but more regularly. It will sink in with them a lot better and easier, and you'll find you'll progress a lot easier. Also, by doing little bits of training and little bits of play and then sort of popping them back in to their crates, it means they are getting the rest they need. They're not then going to get sort of frustrated with you if they're getting overtired, and sort of means they're sort of biting and nipping at you. So quite often, especially if you have certain breeds like collies and the herding sort of breeds, they naturally nip a lot more, especially with movement. So it's in their sort of genetics to herd things in and sort of chase things that are moving. So obviously if they're overtired, overstimulated, they are going to sort of be more high alert and sort of in that mode to sort of nip and herd in sort of thing, if that makes sense. So it's better to sort of split their day up into sort of 5-10 minute segments. So 5 minutes out in the garden, and then 5 minutes in, have a little play, 5 minutes of training, and then pop them in a crate, and they'll have sort of 5-10 minutes working out their food toy, sort of like a Kong or food puzzle, snuffle mat, something like that. And then sort of 20 minutes, half hour. You can even do sort of 45 minutes, an hour if you need to. I let them have a little sleep, and then sort of repeat basically. Just keep repeating that throughout the day. And obviously once they're old enough to go for walks, you can sort of incorporate a little walk into your day as well. So obviously you can do 2 or 3 little walks with them each day. So obviously don't go too far, but you can then incorporate a few little walks into their routine as well. So instead of letting them out in the garden, maybe take them for a sort of 5-10 minute little wander, and then sort of come back, and then they should be tired, especially if they let them stop and sniff. Sniffing is really good for our puppies. So again, I'll do a blog on why sniffing is so good for our puppies in another blog or video, and so go and check that out. I'll try and get that up by next week. But yeah, it's really good for our puppies. I think I might even have already done a video on here about sniffing with dogs. So I'll have a look before I post this and link it down below as well if I have, which I think I already have from memory, but probably from last year. Yeah, just do sort of try and structure your day so they're getting making sure you get them out for the toilet regularly enough. You're giving them that mental stimulation of some play and training, and then that downtime of in their crate and sleeping. And then sort of just keep repeating that, and they'll soon get into the routine of, all right, I go out on the toilet, I can then come in, maybe do a bit of fun play and training, and then I need to sleep. So they will then eventually cotton on to, actually, it isn't all about playing, following your owner around. They can just relax and do nothing. So Buzz is now 3 years old, and he is currently fast asleep on his bed. So he doesn't necessarily go into his crate all the time now. I do have one set up for him, but he doesn't necessarily use it all the time. Unless I'm going out, I will then crate him still, just because he's a little bugger and he will jump up on the side and steal anything in his reach. So if I'm around, he's totally fine, he won't steal anything. But if I go out, I know he would take that opportunity to take something. So I manage that situation by putting him in his crate. So obviously it's preventing him from getting something that he shouldn't. So obviously put him in his crate, I know he'll sleep and he can't get into anything he shouldn't have. So basically, and garden for plenty of toilet opportunities, small regular training sessions so it sinks in with them, some little play sessions, and then loads of rest and sleep time. Then obviously as they get a little bit older, you can increase some exercise and lead walks, things like that. But as they're younger, I do prefer sort of off lead time rather than on lead, because it just means that they're not sort of too restricted with their movements, with their joints growing and developing still. I much prefer them being off lead and sort of more natural movements and on softer ground, so sort of the grass and mud, that sort of surfaces, rather than walking on concrete. Obviously you can give them little sort of 5-10 minutes up and down the road, but obviously try and do sort of maybe a couple of little sessions like that each day, and then some more playtime in the garden. So they can have like sumis and run around in the garden, and then sort of a little lead walk a couple of times a day. So if you've got any questions, pop in the comments. If not, then I'll be posting another video next week, hopefully. So I'll be doing about puppy biting, what to do with if your puppy is biting and chewing a lot. So if you've got any questions about that, then pop them in the comments or send them over and I will answer them in the video.